afraid? I've got some bad news.
I knew it. I love when he does that.
You turn the headphones up just a tad bit. Hey. Yeah. Been around the way, I ain't a stranger to struggle. Pep talks to myself like I'm leading the huddle. Never been one to complain about the rain in the jungle. Cause looking down brings reflection when I'm stepping in puddles. Misunderstood as it seems, call me an anomaly. They get green when I preach that belief within the dream is what you need to be the change that is rarely ever seen. To get to where you have to go by leaving where you used to be.
I've been through this, been through that, reminiscing on my past. I found bliss in the way that I carry on my back. Let my soul sing my song. It goes, ooh, na, 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 na. I still rose from all my lows. I say, ooh, na, na, na.
Hey, I make dollars, then they holler. I raise father when bad times make the days harder. But now I'm working on the flow, make it sway proper. So I could look up at the stands like, hey mama, hey papa. Sorry for the delay, I've been weaving through struggles and I ain't talking teenage drama. I found the light and truth be told, I don't relay rah-rah. I mean no harm when I say I prefer my shades darker. I write my story with no shame on that comma. My outfits is gold chains and suede armor. I made my bed with silk sheets, spent days walking through the valley of suede waters, my waves charter. So why bother giving up? I'ma just play harder and work like I got 8 sons and 8 daughters. I got the haters frowning, talking about what they oughta. But I ain't mad, that's the only thing that they taught them.
This is not a gospel record. This is proud to be a black dad like Oscar record. This will open up your mind until you conscious record. This is started from the bottom, not that Aubrey record. Realize you far from second, ahead of your time. You early for work. You know what they say, the early bird gets to the worm. Been overlooked so long, you make them question how you been so strong. Fist up when you sing this song, it goes. I've been through this, been through that, reminiscing on my past. I found bliss in the way that I carry on my back. Let my soul sing my song, it goes. Ooh, na, 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 na. I still rose from all my lows. I say, ooh, na, na, na. I've been through this, been through that, reminiscing on my past. I found bliss in the way that I carry on my back. Let my soul sing my song. It goes, ooh, na, 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 na. I still rose from all my lows. I say, ooh, na, na, na.
Welcome to the Hoots Podcast. This is a podcast about life, which just happens to be centered and focused around the world of professional wrestling. We tackle the topics of the week, both inside and outside of the squared circle, while also focusing on the issues that are plaguing the world today. Whether it's wrestling, sports, life, or anything in general, we've got you covered right here on the Hoots Podcast. And now, here's your host, Josh Lopez.
And if that doesn't work, then by God, me and my friend Mark, we're going to stop watching. That's right.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 259 of the Hoots Podcast, the number one in your heart. Yeah, it's crazy to think all these episodes I've done. we're keeping strong here on the Hoots Podcast. Let's just say that 259 episodes. Good God, I feel like episode 200 was like yesterday. So time goes by fast, man. You gotta appreciate it. Welcome to the program, everybody. Yours truly, the nefarious brother Adam, Joshie Lopez. You can follow me at Twitter at Josh Lopez Media, Instagram at Joshie Lopez 94, at Josh Lopez Music. If you want to check me out on Instagram, playing some guitar covers, make sure to bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. That would mean a lot to me. We got a lot of stuff to get to this week. This is our AEW Double or Nothing preview / prediction show. Yes. And we'll get into that when we get to what the hell is wrong with AEW. So be on the lookout for that. And we'll go over what happened this week at WWE. We're on the road to Hell in a Cell. And WWE is announcing more dates on their 25-city tour. And we'll get to that later on. Also, I want to let you guys know that Brett Carter will be sending his segments via satellite this week. Unfortunately, I am not joined with him right now. He had some stuff going on, but hopefully we can have Brett Carter back here in the saddle next week. But with that being said, the Thoughts of Dericho are back, which you can listen to at the end of this podcast, and you will listen to at the end of this podcast. If you're a first-time listener to the Hoots Podcast, I deeply, deeply appreciate you for giving us an opportunity. This is a live podcast centered around the world of professional wrestling, but we also talk about life, mental health, relationships, sports, music, a lot of things. It's a podcast where I want you to feel like we're sitting in the back porch talking about life and just in general. So I want you to feel like I'm sitting next to you. This is not a analyst show. This is not a knockoff version of Sports Center or First Take or any of these type of shows. This is a show that comes out of my heart. I don't live with confirmation bias, which is something I'll be talking about later on in the WWE segment. This is a show that prides itself on this authenticity and just being upfront with you guys. And we've been doing this show for over 5 years now, and it's been a fun ride. It's been a fun ride. As much as social media is such a cesspool, and it really takes the fun out of the world of professional wrestling, I really think what we do here at the Hoots Podcast is a testament of what pro wrestling should be, and it's enjoying the product for what it is. And so thank you if this is your first time listening or watching the show. And we're going to have a lot of fun. So what we do here in the Hoots Podcast every single week, we start off with a Good Brothers Q&A session, but we're adding a new title to it. It's a Good Brothers Q&A and Wisdom session. These Q&A sessions can go from sports to mental health to relationships in a matter of moments. I get questions every single week from my friends of mine throughout the wrestling community, and they ask me questions. You can ask me questions as well. All you have to do is hit me up at Twitter at Josh Lopez Media, or you can send us a batch of questions at thehootspodcast@gmail.com. So with that being said, we're going to get ready for the Good Brothers Q&A session. And I want to start it off like we usually do with the good brother Chris Zaletta at XTeenZaletta24X on Twitter. And Chris's first question is a personal one, so I'm saving that one towards the end. So Chris, if you're listening, don't worry, I did get your first question and I will answer it. So, okay, here we go. John Morant, easily a top 5 point guard in the NBA currently. Chris, I'm kind of in and out the NBA. I'm not really much in tune with their product right now. I know the playoffs are going on right now, but from what I do know and what I hear and see and stuff on social media, John Morant has a lot of pub and a lot of praise and a lot of hype surrounding him. So I would guess so. I mean, point guard is not what it was back in the day in the NBA. So, I mean, people consider LeBron James a point guard. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about the state of the position. But, yeah, I'd say he's in the top 5 for sure. Next question. Your thoughts on Patrick Clark / Velveteen Dream's first statement in months? Well, this is very interesting because last week Velveteen Dream did get released. A lot of people got what they wanted out of the situation. There's been a lot of accusations and allegations thrust upon the Dream. And it's a very touchy subject. It's something that I take seriously, as everybody should, as well, with the subject matter of what he's being accused for. And hopefully he finds some solidarity within himself. I'm not going to say what's true or what's not true, because that's not what we do here on the Hoots podcast. I'm not going to speculate on what did or did not happen. I do believe people have the right to speak for themselves and let their side of the story be told. I do believe in that. I do believe in letting people, like I said, speak for themselves. The worst thing is having allegations thrust upon you and you not having a voice or say so. We can accuse people of many things. We could put words in people's mouths, but you really don't know the intention of somebody unless you let them speak for themselves and let them actually be honest with you. So, I thought the statement was what it needed to be for the Dream. I am a fan of him. I got to know him a little bit for the time I had to interview him before in the past. So hopefully things get settled out. I don't know what's true or not true. And hopefully Patrick gets his life together and maybe we'll see him around in some other wrestling promotion in a couple years. So that's my thoughts on that. Here's a good question. Why has Mike Tenay been out of wrestling this long? I don't know, Chris. I ask myself that same question all the time too, because I've always been appreciative of Mike Tenay's play-by-play skills. I'm kind of chuckling right now because my buddy Kevin Gray, who's my mentor at broadcasting school, unfortunately passed away a couple years ago. He always called me Mike Tenay because I would always be like calling out the moves and stuff. Now you guys kind of wonder why I do like the transcripts and stuff. So I've always been a fan of Mike Tenay, and I just wish he would pop up. I mean, he would be good for any promotion. Obviously, AEW could use a level up on their play-by-play team. I mean, they got 3 play-by-play guys there, and like it's like a 3-ring circus. So, yeah, I don't know why he's been out. The last thing I remember about Mike Tenay is that he would have these like bi-weekly appearances on the Taz show. You guys remember the Taz show when Taz was doing the stuff on CBS Sports Radio? I gotta give shout out to Taz, man. He really made a niche for himself outside of WWE once he left, at least from a broadcasting point of view. You know, everybody knows what Taz did in ECW and WWE, but for what he was able to accomplish on his own accord, where he literally made a brand for himself before he went to AEW. I know everybody talks about what he did in TNA and stuff like that, and there's times I liked him and TNA as a team, but for Taz to have his own podcast and stuff like that, the Taz show, I was a big fan of the Taz show, and now Taz is back in wrestling. He's in AEW. He calls Dark every week. He's doing the stuff with Team Taz, and you know, him and Mike Tenay would have like these segments and they would just bust each other's balls all the time. And those were really fun episodes to listen to. So I always like Mike Tenay. I like this perspective. I love this appreciation for all styles of wrestling. So hopefully he comes back soon. Here we go. Why has Mike Tenay been out of wrestling this long? No, I just read that. Sorry about that. Do you think Will Ospreay is committed to New Japan long term? I would think so for now. I wouldn't want to put, again, I don't want to assume things because we all know what happens when you assume. I like what Will Ospreay was doing in New Japan. He was just the IWGP World Champion just a couple of weeks ago. And hopefully things get better with him in this neck injury. But I think when it comes to like talents like Will Ospreay, it really is what they want at the end of the day. You know, you can take your risk and go to the WWE. You can take a risk to go to any wrestling company. You know, you got to bet on yourself one way or another. And Will really made a big name for himself in New Japan. And he deserves a lot of credit for where he started off as a spot monkey, high-flying guy in the junior heavyweight division to being one of their top foreign wrestlers in the heavyweight scene. So I think for him, he would like to have some more things to accomplish on his own accord in New Japan before he would take that step to go to WWE or AEW. But I think Will Ospreay for now will probably be committed to New Japan. Here's an interesting question for Chris here. He says, who would be in your King of the Ring bracket from Raw, NXT, and SmackDown? Oh boy. That's an interesting one. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a 16-man tournament. Yes, we will. Now, there'll be 4 wrestlers from Raw and SmackDown and NXT. There'll be 2 from 205 Live, and it'll be 2 from NXT UK. You're going to get into the booking session with Josh right now. This is how I'll be mapping out my bracket, so you guys can write this down with me. You can hold it to me. From Raw, AJ Styles, Drew McIntyre, okay? Sheamus, and Xavier Woods. That's 4, okay? From SmackDown, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Aleister Black, and Big E. Okay? From NXT, Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, Pete Dunne, and Santos Escobar. From 205 Live, we're going to go with Kurt Stallion. And the second one from 205 Live will be Tony Nese. Now, NXT UK. I think it'd be too easy to put Walter in. I mean, if I wanted to just put all the big name guys, I would put every world champion and stuff like that. So I wanted to make this a little different. But from my picks from NXT UK will be Tyler Bate and Jordan Devlin. So let's go scroll down this list. This is a 16-man tournament. We have 4 people from Raw, 4 people from SmackDown, 4 people from NXT, 2 from 205 Live, and 2 from NXT UK. Okay? Raw, Drew McIntyre, AJ Styles, Sheamus, and Xavier Woods. SmackDown, Kevin Owens, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Aleister Black, and Big E. NXT is Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole, Pete Dunne, and I'm trying to remember who was the other guy. You guys remember what I just said, but going back to 205 Live, Kurt Stallion and Tony Nese, and then of course from NXT UK, Tyler Bate and Jordan Devlin. So that's how I would set up my King of the Ring tournament, my man. I'd love to get your thoughts on it. All right. If Edge returns for SummerSlam, who should he face? AJ Styles or Seth Rollins? I would say Seth Rollins. That would be my pick for that match. Honestly, I think I wouldn't be surprised if Edge went and got another shot at the Tribal Chief. I would not be surprised by that. But I think right now, realistically, I think he would fight Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. AJ's still the tag team champions with Omos, so I think you could hold off a match with Edge and AJ Styles for another show down the road. Maybe at next year's WrestleMania. That'd be pretty cool. Just throwing that out there. Do you think we could get a Mysterio Escobar match at a future takeover? I don't see why not. I think that'd be cool kind of thing where, whenever Dominic turns on Rey and Rey's back being a singles performer, you could have Escobar challenge him and something like that. I think that'd be cool. Hell, you could still do it with them being a tag team. It could be like a one-off thing. I wouldn't have a problem with that. So sure, I don't see why not. Do you think we could get a surprise in the Casino Battle Royal from someone from Impact or New Japan winning it? I guess. I'm sorry, Chris, and everybody. It's just like, it's cute that all these companies are working for each other, but is there any company that's actually elevated themselves since this gone on besides Impact? Like, AEW is still AEW since this whole partnership has started. New Japan is still New Japan and 10 times better than AEW, and Impact is only getting more buzz on social media. It's not, they're not making a seismic change with their TV ratings and stuff like that either. So it's like, what are we doing here? But I'm sure there'll be somebody from Impact or New Japan would come out. I would be surprised if Sami Callihan won the Casino Battle Royal. I'll just throw that out there. Okay? And then, oh boy. Here's the last question for Chris. This one's going to be interesting. Best advice on how to handle a situation like this. Started as friends, dated for 2 years, now back to being friends. The two words of dating and friends, and what is and what isn't. It's a question I ask myself every day. I mean, if you guys heard last week's episode, this is what I'm dealing with right now. I think I don't know if this is your particular situation, Chris, so I don't want to make any assumptions, and I appreciate you asking me this question because this is a topic that doesn't really get enough pub and enough attention given to it. So if this was your situation, I'll try to give the best advice I can, brother, but hear me out here. I think us as society has lost touch on what relationships are. I really do. I really think the overarching foundation of what a relationship is the next level of your friendship. You start being friends with somebody because you're attracted to something about them. Attraction's already there from the get-go. You're attracted to their personalities. You're attracted to the way they carry themselves. You're attracted to how this person makes you want to be better for yourself. This person makes you want to feel whole. Now, in this situation, you said started off as friends, dated for 2 years, and now back to being friends. Of course, we're not naive. Sometimes the relationship aspect doesn't work with two people. But you got to take that risk. That comes with life. You got to take the risk. 100% of the time, always be on the favor of taking the risk because it's best for you in your heart and you don't want to live in regret. Even if the relationship doesn't work out and now you're back to being just friends, I think that should always be the goal because I think you should not change who you are just because your level of your relationship or friendship went to another level, you know what I mean? So I think that gets lost in context sometimes because dating and relationships is a real thing, and it's something that people take for granted, and people don't really appreciate the essence of what a true relationship should be. And there's a lot of feelings that get affected with that, especially when it doesn't work out. So, yeah, a lot of times that'd be affected if they can't be friends because a lot of that love is there and you don't want that to hinder the friendship you had in the first place. But that friendship is the reason why you fell in love in the first place. It's nothing else. I mean, I think to just strictly say the only reason to be in a relationship with somebody is if you want to have sex with them. I think that's stupid. Like, you can still be someone's friend and have sex with them. You can still be someone's friend and be married to them. You can be still someone's friends and have kids with them. I don't think it's just one specific aspect of a dynamic that justifies being in a relationship with someone or not being in a relationship with someone. I really do believe that, because the purpose of falling in love with someone is because it comes from your heart. It's not for alternative motives. It's not for things out of the blue to try to gain like some accomplishment. It's not about that. At least it's not for me. I know that for sure. And I think the best advice I would give to you, Chris, and everybody that's listening to this, is let your heart tell you what's the right way to handle the situation. If the relationship aspect and the dating aspect of that friendship did not work, ask yourself if that person still means enough to you that you still want to be friends with them. That'd be my advice. Listen to your heart. You never know what you could be to someone or what level your relationship could be with someone if you don't take the risk. If you don't ask. You know, you let your heart decide, not what you want or something. You should not work with alternative motives. You know, it's okay to be friends with someone first and have your feelings evolve if that's what your heart's telling you, not what in your head or anything like that. Because if it was just like your friends and then eventually you just wanted to have sex with her, you weren't really her friend the entire time. You know what I mean? So I think, honestly, let your heart guide you in that situation. But those are good questions, though, Chris. I really like those. All right. Let's go to the next questions from Nate the Great. Here we go. Make sure to follow Nate on Twitter at PsychoNagiri. Just give me 1 second, guys. I gotta do something real quick. I'll be right back. Okay? Alright, let's rock and roll. Back here. Let's do these questions for Nate. Make sure to follow Nate on Twitter at PsychoNagiri. Nate's first question is, who do you realistically see beating Killer Kross for the title? All 3 world champions have been booked so well, I don't know who could actually beat them anymore. That is a good question. And I think that's something that I don't think WWE gets enough credit for. I mean, I'm not one of these like wrestling media guys that relies on booking takes to curtail 90% of what my show is. We really don't talk a lot about booking because, 1, I'm not a booker, and 2, I really don't care about booking. I really don't. You know, I really don't. I appreciate the action in the ring, but for me, as someone who wants to work in the business, I'd rather learn about the aspects of booking from somebody who's actually done it as opposed to, oh, my favorite didn't win, so this is bad booking. Oh, you know, this performer did this, and blah, 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 so they shouldn't listen to this guy. Blah, blah, like, I mean, get these, like dick measuring contests over booking decisions and why is this happening and why that's happening. I mean, it's episodic television, so let the performers and the professionals figure that out. I'm not saying that one booking from one company is better than from the other. We all know that's not true. It's not just one company. Nobody's perfect. So I think for me, that's a great question, Nate. I really don't know. You look at the NXT roster right now, I mean, can you say Santos Escobar beat Killer Kross after what he did to Legado del Fantasma? No. Is Johnny Gargano gonna beat Killer Kross? Maybe as a babyface, I guess. Adam Cole for one more shot, maybe. I'm just not sure. It's a really good question though, because Kross is the man. I'm very happy for him and the success he's had so far in his run in NXT. And he had an awesome match with Finn Balor this week at NXT. And I'm a big fan of his. So it's a great question. I have really no idea what or who could beat Killer Kross. So that's just my opinion. All right, next question. He says, what do you think is worse? Being underwhelmed and disappointed or overwhelmed and stressed out? I think this case by case situation there, Nate. I think being overwhelmed and stressed out is par for the course. It's really something you can't avoid or something. It's something you don't want to deal with, but it's something you're just gonna deal with, just like you're gonna deal with heartbreak. I think what's worse is being underwhelmed and disappointed, especially when you put your heart into something and it doesn't go how you expected. It's just that dejection and that just feeling of worthlessness that seeps through you. And I've been burnt, I've been disappointed, I've been underwhelmed, I've been lied to, gone through a lot of things, and I know that feeling of dejection and, you know, the feeling of after being cheated on. Lord knows how many times I've been rejected in my life. This other stuff, you know. So I think being underwhelmed and disappointed is harder because you had that emotional investment into it, and it didn't go the way you thought it would. So, but when that situation happens, is like, how do you adapt to that? What are you gonna do about it when you are disappointed or things didn't go the way you thought it would? You know, what are you gonna do about it? That'd be my question to you. All right, here we go. Has there ever been a moment you wish you could freeze time and just sit in? There's a couple times, man. I'm kind of chuckling about this because there's a lot of that I wish I could just freeze and just let the moment set in. The first time that I played guitar for my nanny before she passed away would be one that really like stands out to me. When I was in Oviedo a couple years ago, when me and Lauren were watching Stomping Grounds pay-per-view, I just wanted that moment to freeze there and just enjoy the moment there, because that, honestly, guys, outside of like playing music and doing stuff like this, when it comes to like the personal aspect of me, Joshie Lopez, that's the time in my life that I was the happiest, where I had no weight on my shoulder. I didn't feel like I needed to put an act on. I really felt like I was in my own element with her. I was with the woman I wanted to be with, and nobody could get in the way of that moment. I just wanted, I still think about that to this day, because it's true, especially when you are in love with someone and you have that moment together and you know it's true within your heart. You can't speak for another person. That was what it was, you know. But for me, I was in that element, and it's like, this is the life I wanted. Like, who I am with her is who I really wanted to be. And that's how it was. And I wanted that moment to freeze there. And then at least something more for a fun side, like, at least like play music or the stuff I'm doing now, would probably be... Yes, sorry about that, guys. My computer freeze for some reason. Anyways, okay. As I was saying, if I go piggyback of something that I was playing, I remember I was playing a concert at Navy Pier at the Winter Wonderland Fest, and this is when I was in elementary school. When you get to play like a big venue and you're playing in front of a lot of people, it's a lot of pressure, and sometimes we all live too much to the moment where we can't enjoy the moment too, you know? You're anxious, you're nervous, you don't want to fuck up, you don't want to mess the chord up. You want to be in rhythm and stuff like that, at least from a playing guitar point of view, you know what I mean? So I look at that moment, and that was a lot of fun. I killed that performance, but I didn't want that. I didn't want the feeling of that to go away. I think when the question you're asking, like, are there moments where you, in a moment, you wanted to stop and enjoy the moment for what it is? I think that's what I get from your question, buddy. Okay, next question. I just got... Alright, next question is... Has there been a time you didn't feel like fighting yourself mentally and just gave up that day? Yes and no. I mean... I think with where I am right now in my life, where I feel like I'm on the right path because my focus and attention is on the right things and not other stuff that's going to pull me down a bad path. So I think even when where I'm having a bad day, I have something where I could use it as advice to put myself in a better mood. I listen to music for 90 minutes before I go to sleep every night. I use that, especially for nights where I am either feeling alone or I start crying or whatever. If I'm in a bad mood, I find a way to make myself happy. But there's not days where I'm like, oh, there's nothing else I can do with this. Like, I'm just taking the rest of the day off. I don't like getting myself to that point because it gets me in a bad like mental space when that happens, where I like snap. I'd rather not deal with that. I mean, I have stuff like this. I'm happy I have the transcripts that can clear my head of stuff that I'm like deal with or stuff I'm frustrated about. So I'm very grateful for that. Grateful for the podcast, obviously. Stuff like that. It's very rare where something where I'm so mentally burnt out where I'm just like I can't do anything else, or I'll just like going to sleep early because I really don't do that. We just got a question really quick from a good brother, referee Tony S. from the TBD Wrestling Podcast. He says, Michael Jordan has The Last Dance. In professional wrestling, who would you watch in their Last Dance? I mean, what else hasn't been said about Stone Cold? Maybe The Rock. I think The Rock would be a cool feature for that. Also, I like to see a Last Dance on John Cena. I really do. I think a Last Dance on John Cena's career would be very interesting. I really do believe that. So I like that question, Tony. Thank you. All right, the last question we got this week from Nate, obviously. He says, do you believe in fate and everything happens for a reason? I'm glad this is the last question because kind of being piggyback to the question that I got from Chris earlier. Yes. I let fate and my heart decide things. I don't let opinions from other people decide that. I let fate decide that. You have goals. You have wants. You have needs in your life. You go after it, right? If it's meant to be, fate will decide that for you. Your heart and your attention has to be from the right point of view, though. That has to be coming from the right place. Fate brought me to Oviedo. Fate brought me to Lauren when I first met her. It wasn't for any alternative motives. Sure as hell wasn't that. Because I didn't need a relationship when I first met her. It wasn't about that for me. It wasn't about, I just need sex just to stimulate my mind while I'm in this process of trying to find myself and going after my dreams of getting into wrestling business, right? No, it's fate. It's something in my heart. It's something it's something from her that she pulled out of myself that I didn't know that I had or wanted again. Where I have a hard time letting people in. And when I do let people in, it's because I really do care and have that love for them. And fate brought me down to meet her parents. You know, what happened. And for me, I'll never shun the idea of it never working out, because I can't decide that, and I'm not going to try to speak for her. I mean, she has her stance in it, and that's fine. But I think fate will determine that for us. And I think that everything does happen for a reason, because you learn from something with every major thing that happens to you, positively or negatively. So yes, I do believe in fate, because it's brought me to where I am right now. Fate brought me to the point where I can have my own apartment. Fate brought me to the point where I could work from home and cover professional wrestling for a living. Fate brought me a woman in my life that I know that I can live without, but I don't want to live without. Fate brought me another sense of purpose when I thought I was going down one path of music and I went into another path. I've gone through obstacles. I've been heartbroken. I've been dejected. I've been bitter. I've been gone through every emotion any person could ever go through to where I am right now. That's fate. Yeah, I do believe everything happens for a reason. I really do. So, I want to thank you guys so much for sending questions. Nate, Tony, and Chris, you guys send awesome questions as always. And as always, if you ever want to send me a question, all you have to do is hit me up at Josh Lopez Media or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. So, thank you for hanging out with me. And when we come back, we're going to go into this week in WWE. Yes, sir. All right, folks, welcome back to the Hoots Podcast this week. Ready to go over what happened this past week in the world of WWE. As always, if you ever want to check out some play-by-play articles of mine, all you have to do is bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. There you'll find all the transcripts that I do for all these wrestling shows. Like today, I'll be doing NXT UK and Impact Wrestling. So that'll be on the docket tonight on the website. Show started off with Sonya Deville announcing that WWE is going back on tour during Money in the Bank weekend. So really exciting news there. But this is kind of a championship showcase edition of SmackDown last week. Show started off with a 6-woman tag match with Bayley, Shayna Baszler, and Nia Jax being Bianca Belair, and Natalya, and Tamina. We saw Shinsuke Nakamura beat King Corbin with the accompaniment of Rick Boogs. I gotta say, man, again, there's very few times where the fan of me pops out while I'm transcribing the show, but all of that with the guitar and Pat McAfee's reaction, I gotta mention this because I mentioned this in the description. Pat McAfee is awesome. I think he's been a great addition to the SmackDown brand. I just wanted to throw that out there. But his reaction to Boogs and everything, like, that's the stuff that's awesome. Like, I really thought that was awesome. Speaking of awesome, how can I not mention the Tribal Chief? He being Roman Reigns, come out the heels being Cesaro, wanted to have a championship celebration. And he didn't want to brag about himself on national television, so he allowed his special counsel to do that for him. And I'm going to read this promo for you verbatim, okay? This is indeed a unique surprise. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a moment here to acknowledge your tribal chief, undefeated since his return to WWE, scared defeating over to Monday Night Raw, humanized the monster Braun Strowman, baptized his own cousin back into the championship bloodline, KO'd Kevin Owens, scored the most declaratively dominant pinfall in the history of WrestleMania main events when he stacked Edge and Daniel Bryan on top of each other and pinned them both as if it wasn't a triple threat match but a handicap match against the end-all be-all Universal Champion. Caved in Edge's face, where we'll never see Edge again, and then took personal pleasure in banishing Daniel Bryan off of SmackDown into a life of Bella retirement. And then the backlash against the strongest and most talented grappler on the SmackDown roster, Cesaro, where your champion, Roman Reigns, beats Cesaro on his own, with no one's help, at Cesaro's game. But ladies and gentlemen, my tribal chief, it is a career highlight for me tonight to not only celebrate, but acknowledge the preeminent champion in all of WWE and indeed sports entertainment, Roman Reigns. Your whim, let alone your wish, is my command. I just thought that was awesome. This led to Cesaro coming out and challenging Roman to another match for Hell in a Cell. Seth Rollins is completely unhinged. He's just beating up Cesaro every chance he can. So things are far from over between those two. So I thought that was good. We found out that the Usos are taking out the Street Profits on SmackDown this week. I am recording this on Thursday, so I'm excited to type that out tomorrow. So we'll get some more advancement with the Roman Reigns saga with the Usos. So that should be pretty good. And then the main event of SmackDown this week was insane. We had Apollo Crews retaining over Big E, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, in an awesome fatal 4-way match for the IC title. Apollo Crews retained with help from Aleister Black beating up Big E. Words have consequences. They do. Big E, on Talking Smack the prior week, said he would run through Aleister Black and other people to go after Roman Reigns in the Universal Championship. Little did Big E know that people do listen. So, very interesting developments there. But Apollo Crews is still your Intercontinental Champion. And now, let's talk about Monday Night Raw this week. You know, Monday Night Raw is a very interesting case study for me. Especially now that I'm no longer working at the tattoo shop after I'm done with this trip back to Orlando in a couple of weeks. It's really interesting. I really take stuff and reactions towards Raw on Twitter with a grain of salt. I'll just be honest with you guys. I really do. I feel like we are precautioned to have this feel like Raw's the worst wrestling show ever on television every single weekend. I have a different perspective from it because I transcribe the matches and I really don't watch Raw live because I was at the tattoo shop. And I'll love to see how my opinions on the show change once this transition comes. I did give him my two weeks notice, and I'm really excited to start this next chapter of my life, and this is part of that process. But going back to this, like, you know, I feel like a lot of people hate watch WWE or try to watch for things that validate their confirmation bias towards the promotion. I really do. I mean, it's one thing for me and Brother Carter to come on here and dog and shit on AEW every week, but we generally just don't like the show. Other people watch WWE to shit on it and get clout from it on social media because that's the easy and fun thing to do. They're the big bad wolf. They are the number one company, whether people want to admit it or not. And, you know, is Monday Night Raw the best wrestling television show on television every single week? No. But, you know, I always get a chuckle out of people like, oh, there's not enough wrestling on this show. And then you look at this week's show where 70% of the show was wrestling. And there's not enough storyline development. There's not enough promos. There's not enough this. There's not enough that. And it's like, you are either hate watching or you are just really a morose motherfucker. Like, I can't figure out which one is which with you guys. Because, like, yeah, a show for wrestling does not need to be 3 hours long. I agree with everyone with that, till the cows come home. And more times than not, when I watch Raw, it's very different from what I read on social media. You would think, like, this is the worst thing ever. And this week's big complaints about, oh, it's just the same matches, the same this, the same that. Okay. Well, let me ask you a question. When it comes to wrestling matches on television, what are they, essentially? Plot points. They're there for you to take the next step, and it's a plot point. I think people are trying to expect, like, new feuds every single week. New outcomes every single week. Well, letting stories play out. People already determining what the level of a feud could be after seeing it for 1 week. And yeah, there's stuff that on the show that I could do without. Like, I don't know why we had to continue this stuff with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. I'm not a fan of it. I've never been a fan of it. And I don't have a need for it. But, like, for example, Kofi Kingston and Drew McIntyre had a fucking barn burner on Monday, and all you are complaining, oh, it was a no contest, there wasn't a finish, oh, I hate Drew McIntyre, oh, he always gets in the way. What? They announced next week that they're having a rematch with Kofi and Drew. I saw it a mile away during the segment before the match that Bobby was going to cost both guys the match. That's what he does. He's been doing that. So tell me what part of that finish did not make sense. Okay, Drew McIntyre is trying to say that Bobby Lashley's not a man. Kofi's rubbing it in Bobby Lashley's face that he beat him last week. By the way, does Kofi Kingston really come off to you as a babyface? Because, boy, the bro sure loves to brag. He loves being that, oh, I got your ass guy. Like the trolling guy, I guess. But, okay, you had those two elements. During the match, Drew McIntyre gives Bobby Lashley the middle finger to bait him to come to the ringside area. During that, Kofi Kingston does a trust fall where McIntyre bumps into Lashley. I mean, the writing's on the wall that he was going to go in there and cost both guys the match. It's television. We're going to have another awesome match next week, and we'll find out who will fight Bobby Lashley at Hell in a Cell. It's like we take the result of the situation without applying any context to it, and then automatically saying, oh, this is stupid. Tell me what part of it was stupid. That we didn't get a decisive winner? Oh, because this is the nerd case. They shoving Drew McIntyre down our throats. Boo-hoo. Let's talk about the other stuff that happened on this show. Charlotte Flair had another match with Asuka. Another really long match as well. But this is always my approach when it comes to like the rematches and stuff like that on when it comes to WWE. It helps me out. I ain't gonna complain. The reason I won't complain about it because it helps you out from a transcription standpoint. I kind of know the sequences and stuff like that, so those are like easier matches to type out. So I'll just mention that really quick from my point of view, from that perspective. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. All right, this was a very good match. I really did like this match, but I call spade here, and I'm fair. I call things that I don't like and stuff like that as well. I don't care what you're given. This is an example of why certain performers don't get mic time or don't get the pushes you think they deserve. You could be given the worst dog shit material on God's green earth, and then you hear the tone of Cedric Alexander when he cuts promos, and how that promo went on before that match on Monday, and you tell me that he convinced them, people backstage, that he should get more time on the mic. And this is nothing about the dialogue he was given. Look at the way the dude talks. He sounds like a bitch. I don't mean to be rude. I respect Cedric. He's an awesome guy. I like what he does in the ring. But there's nothing intimidating about his voice. He sounds like a fucking bitch. I don't know if it's intentional for him to squeal his voice the way he does during the match. But he sounds like a fucking bitch. He sounds like a simp. I don't know how to make that more direct or clear. Like, the promo just went on and on and on and on. And I'm like, holy shit, what is this? Like, it's so easy for all of you to go like, oh, well, look at the material they're giving him. Look how the fucking guy sounds. He sounds like a fucking cuck. He sounds like a bitch. And I'm glad Grace called him out during the fucking match for that shitty promo too, because it sucked. You gotta maximize your TV time. Get some fucking bass in your voice. And I couldn't buy anything he said. He sounded literally like a bitch. Honestly. Again, I respect Cedric. He's an awesome performer. I have no issues with him personally. But this is the example of like, oh, the WWE could have done so much with Cedric Alexander. He could have been a United States champion. He could have been this. He could have been that. They give him mic time, and he sounds like a fucking bitch you would hear on a damn YouTube channel doing God knows what. I don't know. Not good. Not good. All right. Speaking of stuff that was good on Monday Night Raw this week, we had Matt Riddle and Xavier Woods having an absolute barn burner of a match. Matt Riddle did beat Xavier Woods with the RKO, which I thought was pretty interesting. I was not expecting that. So, yeah, this is a couple of takeaways here and there from Raw this week at SmackDown. You know, it was what it was. Shayna Baszler challenging Reginald to a match next week, so we just need to cut the cord with this Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler stuff. We really do. NXT was really good this week. You know, always love seeing Dakota Kai on my television. That's good waterfall. We had Pete Dunne and Bobby Fish. That was an awesome match. And then the main event, I forgot to mention this. Before I talk about the main event, the $1 Million Face-Off with Ted DiBiase and Cameron Grimes and LA Knight was awesome. I just wanted to mention that. And then, of course, the main event of the Killer Kross retaining over Finn Balor. Awesome match. The match went on for 23 minutes, and you guys see it in its full entirety on NXT this week. It was a really, really good match, so enjoyed that. Also, speaking of good matches, if you haven't had a chance to watch NXT UK recently, I advise you guys to go check out Tyler Bate against the 8 Kid for the Heritage Cup Championship last week on NXT UK. Tyler Bate became your new NXT UK Heritage Cup champion. One of the best matches I transcribed this year so far. So make sure to support NXT UK. It's, in my opinion, the best show that WWE produces week in and week out. It's my favorite brand of wrestling. And yeah, so that's my thoughts on what happened this week in WWE. All right. Right now, folks, we're going to get into what everybody's been waiting for. A moment, a time where we take a trip down a world of mud show freaks, outlaw concepts, flea market style layouts, rent-a-cop referees. Oh, man. Just... We're going into another dimension, folks, because it's time for our main event segment of the podcast, otherwise known as What the Hell is Wrong with AEW? Brother Carter asked the question last week, what isn't wrong with AEW? And we're going to get into our preview predictions for not for AEW Double or Nothing coming up on Sunday. And it's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. Start off with the one and only Brother Carter in a 3, 2, and a 1.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW? What the hell is wrong with AEW? I'll tell you what the hell is wrong with AEW. The fact that they're airing 4 shows this week. Well, since Dynamite is not airing Wednesday evening and we record on a Thursday, and I'm not going to watch the Friday Night Dynamite because I have better things to do on a Friday evening, I'm going to use my segment of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW this week to give my predictions for the upcoming Double or Nothing pay-per-view that I really don't want to see. The only way I will watch this show is if I can find a stream of it somewhere. But I am by no way, means, shape, or form going to pay $60 to watch this absolute freak show of a pathetic wrestling product. But since this is What the Hell is Wrong with AEW, What the Hell is Wrong with AEW, I'll go ahead and give my predictions. And I'm getting the card as of right now. This is the card as of when I'm recording this, which is on Tuesday. And I'm sure more matches will be announced at Dynamite. I mean, I hope not, but at this point with this godforsaken company, who knows? So let's get into it. We've got the Casino Battle Royal coming up with a bunch of, folks in here. It's going to be an ex-WWE person or something like that winning the Battle Royal because there's no way in hell they would have one of their own homegrown talent actually do something relevant in this company. So if there's a mystery entrant, I have no idea who the mystery entrant's going to be. My initial reaction is Samoa Joe, but I don't know I'm going to say Christian Cage gets the win here. I think that, again, you got to have an ex-WWE guy, and I think he's going to try to go after Kenny Omega at some point. So I'm going to say Christian Cage gets the win here, though I really don't care about that. Hangman Adam Page going one-on-one with Brian Cage. I don't believe the FTW Championship is on the line here, but I'm going to take Adam Page to get the win here. He has such momentum going, and this will continue to further the wedge in between Team Taz. And I really like Hangman Adam Page. I think he has an opportunity to be a superstar. And hopefully they'll give him an opportunity at Omega at some point. But somehow, since he is not part of the Elite and not an ex-WWE guy, I doubt it. But I'll say Hangman Adam Page gets the win here. Sting and Darby Allin versus Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Sting, who has become an absolute shell of himself and has been completely misused and is basically useless in all Elite Wrestling. Him and Darby Allin will get the win here. There's no reason for them to not get the win against Sky and Page, who are in some feud with them for no reason. But I'll take Sting and Allin to get the win here. Very good. Cody Rhodes going against Anthony Ogogo. Go away, because I do not care about Anthony Ogogo at all. I'm going to take Anthony Ogogo to get the win here. This would be a good way to write Cody off of television if he wants to go be around and be with his new child, which, again, congratulations to Cody and Brandy. That's a terrific, terrific thing. And, I know we give this company a hard time, but anytime people become parents for the first time and bring new life into this world, that's a wonderful thing. So I think this could be a good way to write him off TV, get some more heat on a go away. And, I'm going to take Anthony Ogogo to get the win here. He'll probably take 2 or 3 punches to the gut to keep Cody Rhodes down. But I'm going to say Ogogo gets the win there. TNT Championship match. I actually think this match could be okay. Miro versus Lance Archer. Miro retains here because they just gave him the TNT title. And, after Brody Lee had held it for so long and Darby Allin had held it for so long, I really hope they don't want to play hot potato with this title. Though with this company, I could see them completely ruining the legacy of this title early on anyway, because this company features a bunch of morons. But I'm going to say Miro gets the win here, especially since Lance Archer has been so irrelevant for the last year or so. One of the matches I'm actually very much looking forward to see, Hikaru Shida versus Britt Baker. Britt Baker is by far head and shoulders the best part about the women's division in All Elite Wrestling. I think, and I'm hoping that the company does the right thing and we get a new champion in the Doctor. So I'm going to say that Britt Baker is your new All Elite Wrestling Women's Champion. That would be Britt Baker, DMD. By far the best part about the women's division in AEW, and actually one of the best parts of the entire company. Part of me also hoping is that she loses and then she'll make her way over to NXT, but that's just me. AEW Tag Team title match. Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley versus the Young Bucks in the match I just really don't give a shit about at all. Bucks retain because it's the Elite and they're never going to take the titles off the Elite because, let's face it, these morons happen to convince Tony Khan to play wrestling booker and all this kind of stuff. And since Khan is so enamored with Omega and the Bucks and the entire Elite, the Bucks are going to have a lengthy run. So Bucks retain, and then I don't know what Moxley and Kingston do from here. Stadium Stampede, the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle. I said this before. I actually enjoyed the first Stadium Stampede match, and I'm glad they did it. I think that it was needed for the pandemic at the time. They made a great spectacle out of it. They did some funny stuff with Broken Matt Hardy, so I actually really enjoyed the first Stadium Stampede match. I don't think this is going to be great at all. The best part about this match is going to be hearing the live crowd singing Judas for the first time in over a year. That, like a full capacity crowd singing Judas, that's going to be awesome. For this match, I don't know. I'm going to say the Pinnacle because you don't want to ruin the momentum here, though I have a feeling that if the Inner Circle wins, they'll keep this feud going with Pinnacle a little bit longer, even though MJF deserves much better than this. MJF is by far the best part about All Elite Wrestling, or at least the best talent that the company has by far. But I'm going to say that I'm going to say Inner Circle gets the win here. And they'll probably continue the feud going on because I don't see any reason that the Inner Circle will be breaking up anytime soon. But I'm going to say Inner Circle gets the win here. And then finally, a three-way match for the AEW World Championship. Kenny Omega defending against Orange Cassidy and Pac. The only person that matters in this match is Pac. And he is superstar potential. I know it didn't work out for him in WWE when he was Adrian Neville and then later Neville. I know it didn't work out for him there. But Pac has superstar written all over him. That being said, they're not going to take the title off of Kenny Omega. I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny Omega is the champion for like 5 years. Because why would they put the belt on anybody else in this godforsaken company? There'll be some sort of screwy finish, and Kenny Omega will retain the All Elite Wrestling World Championship. And honestly, that's going to be my prediction until they take it off of him. Or until, a major name from WWE comes in and wins the title off of them anyway. Because they would never put their title on one of their own because this is a worthless company and this pay-per-view is going to be absolute horrendous waste of time. So like I said, the only reason, folks, I would say unless you can find a live stream, don't waste your $60. Don't give your money to this company. Don't give them the satisfaction of knowing that they actually did something correct because let's face it, they can't. What the hell is wrong with AEW?
This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
Boy, oh boy, what have we got ourselves into, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you, Brother Carter, for the submission this week. I always appreciate it. Now it's my turn. You just heard Brother Carter's predictions for Double or Nothing. I'm going to add a new wrinkle to the Hoots podcast every week as we move forward. As you guys know, I do take the voyage of covering the marathons known as AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation. And this is inspired by Jim Cornette. And I want to forewarn everybody. The goal of this segment is to ask you simply if this entices you. And to ask you the question, is AEW must see? And is Tony Khan really the Booker of the Year? So, I always get told all the time, oh man, AEW's must-see television. It's the most must-see product in professional wrestling. They do the best booking. They have the best match pairings. They have the best storylines. All this stuff, right? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to read off a list of matches. And you tell me if it's must-see or not. You guys can do this after you listen to the podcast. But this is a project, and for those wrestlers that do listen to this, I want you to know if I mention your name, it's not a slight towards you. It's a slight towards the promotion. And let's go. The bit of this is called "Why Do I Do This to Myself?" So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna read the win-loss record attached to each wrestler and the matches itself. Okay. I'm not going to do it this week because I want to save it for Bret Carter, but I'll tell you the matches from last week's Dark and Elevation, okay? So here we go. Why do I do this to myself? All right. 45-27-1 Jungle Boy versus 0-4 Adrian Alanis. This is Elevation from last Monday. Not this last Monday, but the week before that. Okay? 24-11 Dustin Rhodes against 5-21 Aaron Solo with the Factory. Match number 3. Jon Moxley with a 39-7-1 record and 15-7 Eddie Kingston taking on the 3-19 Danny Limelight and 0-4 Royce Isaacs in a tag match. Match number 4. 23-6 Lance Archer against 9-7 Bear Bronson. Now this was a pretty good match, so there's exceptions to the rule here. Number 5. 13-7 Layla Hirsch against the debut Natalia Markova. Number 6. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page against Jalen Brandon and Trayvon Jordan. 14-5, The Bunny against 11-20, Kylan King. Match number 8, the 15-4, The Acclaim against Kevin Blackwood and Kevin Bennett. Match number 9, 26-16, QT Marshall against the 0-32, Baron Black. Match number 10, 26-27, Joey Janela against the 0-2 Daniel Garcia. Hold up. Wait a minute. I thought WWE only has performers that are booked 50-50. Let's continue. Match number 11. Private Party with a 23-27 record against the Dark Order, Alex Reynolds and Alan 5 Angels. Riveting stuff here. Match number 12, Ryan Nemeth and JD Drake against Roman Rosell and Derek Pisaturo. Match number 13, 19-6 Ty Conti against Kai Dream. That was her debut match, so that's fine. What's what it was. Oh, how about this one? Number 14, 28-18 Pentagon Jr. against Robo. Match number 15, 17-5 Thunder Rosa against Robin Renegade. Match number 16, the main event from Elevation last week. 28-5 Brian Cage against 1-2 Mike Seidel. Not Matt Seidel, Mike Seidel. That's Elevation. Now, let's go to AEW Dark from this week. From this past Tuesday. 9-8 Nick Komoroto against Duke Davis. Aaron Solo against Gannon Jones. Third, Preston Vance with a 25-12 record beating 0-2 Dylan McQueen. Match number 4. The Dark Order, Evil Uno and Colt Cabana defeating Simon Lotto and Steven Andrews. Match number 5. Big Swole and Kylie King against the Bunny and Maddie Rinkowski. The Gun Club against Cal Hero and Liam Gray. Match number 7. Layla Hirsch and Bert Vixen. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Cal. My friend David Hero. His son Cal is a professional wrestler now. I'm excluding him from this list of the segment that I'm doing here. I'm just reading out the last mission. And the bit of this is, does any of these matches entice you? I can tell you which ones were good and weren't. I like the concept that AEW wants to give these talents an opportunity, these indie talents an opportunity to shine. I don't have an issue with concept. My issue is shows like this and match cards like this don't warrant to be 90 minutes and 2 hours every week. But that's just my opinion. Let's continue on. Again, I just want to make sure that's not a slight towards Cal. I thought he did a good job. I'll just read off the matches as they were. Layla Hirsch against Bert Vixen. Number 8, Dante Martin with a 12-9 record against Jason Hotch. Match number 9, Diamante with her 21-11 record against 0-4 Rika Tahaka. 50-50, Joey Janela against 8-8 Bear Bronson. Boy, those AEW fans will not tell you about the 50-50 booking in this one, right? Match number 11, 18-25 in Helico, beating 0-30 Ryzen. 0-3 Julia Hart defeating 0-18 Tesha Price. In the main event, 29-5 Brian Cage beating 22-27 Sunny Kiss. And that question I ask myself each and every week, why do I do this to myself? Now, let's mention something else that I saw this week, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. So, we all heard the whole political spiel from Cody Rhodes a couple weeks ago on Dynamite, right? And boy, oh boy, oh boy. I just want to let you know that when you look at what Cody Rhodes said, and then to see this thing from cage side seats that Cody Rhodes said that the intention of his promo was for a focus group workshop. In the words of the immortal B-Rob, Cody Rhodes, go the fuck home and stay the fuck home, okay? From me to you, okay? Please do that as soon as possible. Okay, let's get into predictions for Double or Nothing. I asked the question last week. I'm going to ask you this week. I gotta give shout out to my good brother Ant. He just put this out on Twitter. He has GOW. Kurt Ratner tonight's match card. Ran tonight's match card by a focus group who said it'd be one of the biggest shows ever done. Oh shit, that's funny. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into predictions for the month show of pay-per-views known as Double or Nothing. Honestly, are you really that enticed to pay $60 for this pay-per-view coming up on Sunday? Now, we have the go-home show for Double or Nothing coming up tomorrow night after SmackDown. AEW on Friday nights. What an interesting and dangerous combination that is. I mean, does this entice you? Hangman Page against Joey Janela or Jelly Nutella? Does that entice you? Does Miro and Dante Martin tickle your fancy? Oh my god, man, this show's gonna suck ass tomorrow. Yeah, what about let's look at this card for Double or Nothing. Honestly, tell me what's must-see about this pay-per-view. I'll give you my predictions. Darby Allin and Sting will beat Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Hangman Page will beat Brian Cage. That'll probably be a good match. Kind of same thing with Miro and Lance Archer. Yeah, I mentioned, there's good matches, but is there anything must-see about this? Is there anything elite about this pay-per-view? I got Lance Archer beating Miro for the TNT title. I have the Young Bucks beating Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston for the tag team titles. Don't care about that match whatsoever. As far as the Casino Battle Royal is concerned, I'll go with Christian Cage to win that match because I agree with Bret Carter. God forbid a homegrown talent wins that one. Either Christian Cage or Sami Callihan will win the Casino Battle Royal. Have no care about the Anthony Ogogo Cody Rhodes match. Kind of hope that Ogogo knocks out Cody Rhodes, but that's just my opinion. No, I'm not calling Cody Rhodes the American Dream. No. Dusty is rolling in his grave with that right now. Britt Baker becomes your new AEW Women's Champion, beating Hikaru Shida. That's a pick of mine. I have the Pinnacle beating the Inner Circle. Hopefully, I saw Jericho the other day. Don't worry. I know there's something you guys have been waiting me to talk about that came over the weekend regarding Kenny Olivier and JR, okay? I'll get to that in a couple minutes. Don't you worry. I did not forget about that. This is the segment that there's no stone left unturned when it comes to what the hell is wrong with AEW. Okay. Speaking of Jericho, I was trying to say, he said that, we're bringing in Eric Bischoff to host the celebration of the Inner Circle. Just end the fucking group. Like, I saw Busted open there. Breaking news, big news. Eric Bischoff's going to be returned to Dynamite. Wow. That's as shocking as Shawn Michaels coming out, hyping up a world title match in SummerSlam every year. Bischoff is there for every single fucking Inner Circle segment. That's news? That's not news. At least it's not major news. Okay, whatever. Bischoff's there for the town hall, the ultimatum, all this shit. It don't mean anything. Just get rid of the stupid group and send Jake Hager's ass home. Please, for good. I got the Pinnacle beating Inner Circle. And then I got Kenny Olivier defeating Orange Cassidy. No, my bad. Beating Pockets and Pac. Alright. I've been waiting 4 days to really talk about this. I really don't like using my Twitter account as a place for me to say something I could just be saying on my show. You know what I mean? I just rather say it to here with you guys where it matters, where I'm talking to you, instead of typing it out where you misinterpret what I say on social media or something like that. You know what I mean? This is off the cuff. I'm just going to shoot from the hip with you guys. What I saw the other day with Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho going off about who's the best wrestler in the world, I thought was absolutely laughable to me. Literally laughable to me. I watched this segment. No, I read what Jericho says. I read what Omega says. All this stems from JR mentioning on his Grilling JR show that he thinks that Randy Orton is the best wrestler in the world right now. As always, all conversations with professional wrestling are subjective, unless you're wrestling Twitter, but that's neither here or there. Do I think that Kenny Olivier is the best wrestler in the world? No. Hell no. Like, what do you want me to say? His response shows you how weak and insecure that man is. Oh, gotta go against the E-drones. Or you have to be an e-drone. You have to be an e-drone when you start criticizing his work, because God forbid anybody say anything bad about the almighty Kenny Omega, the god of professional wrestling, as Don Callis likes to call him. I mean, you gotta be e-drone if you think Kenny Omega is fucking overrated in the ring like I do. A man who considers himself a top guy, but sings his promos. He doesn't even talk like a fucking human being. You just heard what I said earlier about Cedric Alexander and how he sounded like a bitch. Kenny Omega or Kenny Olivier sounds like a fucking geek. In more ways than one. He's the most least intimidating top guy I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah, you do some little fancy moves here and there. Awesome, bro. And you do a gazillion knee strikes. I'm not going to take away from your athleticism. You're a great athlete. You do good stuff in the ring. But you are the best wrestler in the world? I mean, from my opinion, I don't think you are. But I'm not going to tell you that my opinion is right or wrong. I can only speak for myself. I mean, you have all these people that think everything AEW does is the greatest thing ever. AEW Dynamite, the best wrestling show ever. AEW commentary, the best commentary team in the last 20 years. AEW refereeing, the best referee crew of all time. AEW, Tony Khan, best booker in the last 20 years since Bill Watts. I don't know if Bill Watts was even booking 20 years ago, but you get my point. I just got a good chuckle out of that. Like, Kenny Omega is taken aback by JR saying that Randy Orton's the best wrestler in the world. It's his opinion. He has a right to his own opinion. I mean, let's face facts, man. The tone and tenor of that company stems through what is put over on Wrestling Observer newsletter. The sooner you figure it out, the sooner you guys will be able to call out the flakiness and the two-faced aspects of this promotion like I do here every single week. I don't have an agenda towards AEW. I want it to be good. But I'm not going to sit here with a straight face and put everything... I'm not going to put everything they do over just because they're the new company. And boo-hoo, I'm not getting what I want from the WWE, so I'm going to put everything AEW does over. No. I call it like I see it. They're missing the ball on what AEW should be, and they're focusing more on niche audiences and things that satisfies Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez. And I don't have respect for that. Do I think Tony Khan's a genius? Hell no. Hell no. He's a good businessman. I'll give him that. He's a good businessman. He'll try to persuade you a gazillion things, but I'm not buying what you're selling. I'm not. And on that note, that's what the hell is wrong with AEW this week. Alright, folks, I want to thank you guys so much for checking out the podcast this week. As always, all you have to do is hit me up on Twitter at Josh Lopez Media or Instagram at JoshieLopez94. Make sure to bookmark ProWrestlingTranscripts.com. If you could, please, if you're listening to the podcast right now, smash that subscribe button. Or on YouTube, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode, because you're free of charge every single week on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts. Anywhere you get podcasts from, make sure to check out the Hoots podcast and all of its glory. We do the show every single Thursday for your enjoyment and make you appreciate the world of professional wrestling for what it is. And yeah, that's why we do it. So thank you guys for being part of this journey with us. And on that note, we're going to wrap it up right there. Make sure to stay tuned for a brand new edition of the Thoughts of Dericho. One last thing. Remember, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself. And always remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself. I'm Joshie. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully you enjoyed Double or Nothing. We'll be here to recap it next week, right here on the Hoots Podcast. Right now I'm going to send it off to Brett Carter for this week's edition of the Thoughts of Dericho, and we'll be ready for episode 260 next week of the Hoots Podcast. Yes, sir!
And now, the Thoughts of Dericho. Listen well, man.
Welcome, one and all, to the segment that, even though has to sometimes be sent in via satellite, it's still live in your hearts. It is the Thoughts of Dericho, featuring the one, the only, Brother Carter. I guess we need to start with the news of the week that Adnan Virk has been released, or has come to a mutually agreed parting of ways, if you will, and it will no longer be associated with World Wrestling Entertainment. I'm kind of sad about this. I'm not surprised. I'm sad, it was very sudden, but I'm not surprised. I mean, Adnan is very talented. I've seen him work on College Game Day and through SportsCenter and many other platforms, and so... But I guess they just didn't feel that he was the right fit. I didn't think they really had time to develop chemistry. I mean, he was only on the job for about a month. So there wasn't really time to have chemistry with him, Graves, and Saxton, or wherever they decided to put him. So sad for him. I know he'll land on his feet. He's very talented, and he'll get it figured out. I just don't think they gave him enough time to do what he needed to do. So we'll see what happens with the Raw announce position. I've heard rumors they're going to go with, I believe it's Jimmy Smith, who has done some work. I think it's UFC he's done, but they're bringing in another outsider to be the lead commentator on Raw. I don't know why they just didn't go with Samoa Joe or bump up. Well, I know why they didn't do Corey Graves, because Corey Graves has to be the heel that has to be calmed down by the main person. So I don't know. We'll see where they go from here, but we certainly wish our best to Adnan Virk and everything that he does. Okay, let's get into SmackDown this week. I am so glad that WWE is going to be back on the road again. This is just exactly what we need as a wrestling industry. It's exactly what the fans need. It's exactly what the superstars need. So 2 months from now, they'll be back on the road. Live shows starting in Texas, my home state. And that really thing is terrific. Shows in Houston. You'll have Money in the Bank in July. I think this is just a tremendous, tremendous thing for the fans, for the superstars. It's all great. Keep getting vaccinated, folks, so we can get out there and really enjoy this. The excitement is through the roof for the superstars and for the fans as well. They started with the Parade of Champions minus the Tribal Chief, which he's too good for, which, of course, duh. He definitely deserved his own introduction. I thought it was interesting that they used his own theme music to bring out Paul Heyman. And I also like how Paul Heyman said that everybody else was a title holder while Reigns was a champion. I thought that was a very, very nice touch. I still don't like Apollo Crews using the Nigerian accent. I think it's just kind of weird. I get it for the gimmick, but it's still just kind of weird for me and doesn't make sense, considering I know how Apollo Crews normally talks. Still think it's kind of weird, but, whatever. It is what it is. A good 6-woman tag match to open the show was simply there to further storylines, which is fine. We'll get into Raw here in a little bit with the women's tag team champions. No big deal there. Again, just there to further the storylines. All good. Big E cuts such good promos. I always get hyped hearing him speak. I love whenever Big E speaks. He still gets me hyped up when he was doing the New Day stuff, and now, I just love it. I love Big E and his promos. I always get so excited when he does the preacher voice thing. It just makes me so amped and jumped and ready to go. I just want to jump up and go, yeah! Whenever I hear Big E speak. I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, Aleister Black gets another great story segment, but that wasn't the end of his night, as he came back at the very end and cost Big E the Intercontinental Championship. A program with Big E and Aleister Black will be awesome. They're both fantastic competitors. I can't wait to see that match. That's going to be great. I don't know if they'll do it at Hell in a Cell or if they'll do it at just kind of a one-off match. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I'm very curious to see what their program is. Shinsuke Nakamura is making the most of the stealing the crown gimmick with King Corbin on Instagram. I thought all that stuff was hilarious. Driving around town, playing with his cat, having some drinks in his backyard. That was all great. I love Nakamura. I hope he gets I hope he gets a world title run, because I think he's just absolutely fantastic. Eric Bugenhagen is back as Rick Boogs, playing the guitar for Shinsuke Nakamura. I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was great. I love that. Eric Bugenhagen, very entertaining in NXT. And I love now he's getting his opportunity on the main roster. Man, I didn't realize, I knew he had some musical talent. I didn't know he could shred like that. So that was very cool. You've got to think he'll be in a program with Elias eventually, but that was very cool. Also, Pat McAfee doing the guitar strokes in Michael Cole's face was hilarious. I love that. Good match with him and King Corbin. No surprises there. That feud will probably continue for the next couple months, and that's fine until we can get to Money in the Bank. Looking forward to seeing the Usos versus the Street Profits. That should be the main event of next week's show. That's going to be awesome. I love the Street Profits. I love the Usos, as you know. So I think this is just going to be magic. They should give this 30 minutes and just let them go. Street Profits can go. The Usos can go. That's going to be fantastic. Roman Reigns' new theme is growing on me fast. It's great. And just kind of, it really, the more and more I hear it, really is a lot and does a lot for his character. So I love that main theme. I think it's absolutely terrific. Also, Reigns' resume, as Paul Heyman pointed out, since his return has been second to none. He's been nothing but dominant, and no one can stop him, at least not on SmackDown. I think the only, and I've talked about this before, the only competitors for Roman Reigns are either on Raw or Brock Lesnar, which that feud is coming. Now that fans are going to be back, I don't know if we're going to get it at SummerSlam. I don't know if we're going to get it at WrestleMania next year. Maybe Survivor Series this year. I don't know. But the match between Lesnar and Reigns is coming. All about Paul Heyman, and that's going to be great. When Cesaro came out, his line about the flesh wound was great. It's just a flesh wound. I thought that was hilarious. But what was he doing out there, going out there and ignoring Seth Rollins? That just wasn't smart there, Cesaro. That just wasn't smart. I like the Dirty Dogs, but I'd still rather see Ziggler and Rude as single stars. Pretty good match with Rude and Dominic Mysterio. Dominic still has some growing to do for sure, but I'm glad that he's getting to work with such veterans as Bobby Roode, Robert Roode, and Dolph Ziggler. That's only going to help him out. And then we close SmackDown with a fantastic Fatal 4-Way match for the Intercontinental Championship. Great action throughout. Looks like Big E is going to be doing something with Aleister Black. So I don't know what's going to be next for Apollo Crews. I would think it's Kevin Owens for a face-heel thing, which means then I don't know what happens with Sami Zayn. But either way, great action, and I loved every bit of it. Okay, switching over to Raw this week. Bobby Lashley continues to come out with the women and all that stuff, and that's fine. I just think it's a little bit sexist, especially in the age we're living in now where so much emphasis has been put on equality and equity. If you just do that with the women, that's how women used to be treated in the past. So I just think it's a little bit sexist. WWE needs to be very, very careful with that. Great match with Kofi Kingston and Drew McIntyre. It got 3 segments, which is great for them. Great showcase for them. But is that bad for the rest of the roster? Because that means they don't get as much TV time. But a great match with Drew McIntyre and Kofi Kingston. I'm glad we'll get to see it again next week, with the winner getting a shot at Bobby Lashley at Hell in a Cell. I just have this horrible feeling we're going to get another triple threat match, though, with Kofi Kingston, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley. Unless the modern-day Maharaja comes back, because we haven't seen him on TV for a couple weeks. Unless the modern-day Maharaja comes back, costs McIntyre, and that could be your Hell in a Cell match. That's what I'm hoping happens, that we get Kingston versus Lashley one-on-one, and then Drew and Jinder one-on-one at Hell in a Cell. But we'll see. Nikki Cross was back and got a match with Rhea Ripley, and while I thought that was great, and she did beat the clock, I hope this means that Nikki gets an actual match and gets the champion soon. I've always been a big fan of Nikki Cross. I think she's a great character. She was kick-ass in Sanity. She was kick-ass with her stuff with Alexa Bliss. So we'll just have to see what happens with that. By the way, shout out to Alexa Bliss on the loss of her pet pig. I know how much that pig meant to her, and that's very sad for all of us. So hope we get to see Alexa back sooner rather than later. But again, I hope we get to see more of Nikki Cross. I think she's absolutely fantastic. Okay, I know a lot of people were complaining that we have to see Asuka and Charlotte again. But if you've got the 2 best female wrestlers in the world on the same brand, having them go one-on-one multiple times in a row isn't the worst idea in the world. They had another great match. No surprise. I was asked on Twitter, would you literally be okay if they did this match on Raw for the rest of time? Charlotte and Asuka facing anybody else? No, that's not what we want to see. But when we get it, let's enjoy it because they're fantastic and they have great in-ring chemistry. Just enjoy it, folks. Don't complain, we're getting the same old boring matches. So what you're saying is that you don't want excellence. When you're saying that you don't want 2 of the best going at it at the same time multiple weeks in a row, you're saying you don't want excellence. And if you don't want excellence, just go watch AEW. And that's exactly what they do, is they bounce things around. Let's have excellence. Excellence is a good thing. The Queen pins Asuka clean, and it looks like, I thought we were going to get a rubber match, but it looks like we're going to get, because Charlotte got the win this week, she's going to get a match at Hell in a Cell with Rhea Ripley. And again, that's fine. Rhea and Charlotte have great history. They're going to have a great match, and it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be great. Maybe we'll get the Queen back on our throne. I don't think so, but I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with this going forward. But I'm excited about it. We get to see two fantastic competitors going at it for the Raw Women's Championship in Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. Let's go. Next week, as I mentioned, Kofi and Drew are going to have another match next week. MVP and Bobby Lashley are barred from ringside, but that doesn't mean that Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, T-Bar, and Mace aren't. Think about that. There could still be some shenanigans next week based on Adam Pearce's words. Cedric with a nice heel promo and some chicken tactics. I liked it. And Cedric gets the win with some cheap tactics, And Shelton is clearly putting him over at this point, which is fine. I hope they can move on to other things, though. I think they've had their feud. Shelton's proved his point. Cedric's proved his point. Let's move on to other things. Great match with Riddle and Xavier Woods. I loved how Riddle hit the RKO out of nowhere. That was cool. Very nice touch. I like that. We'll have to see what happens with him and Randy Orton going forward. I saw on Twitter Randy Orton didn't like that. The split is coming. I just don't know whether they're going to win the tag team titles first. We'll have to see. But I will say, Jackson Riker and Elias winning the tag team titles wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. That way, AJ Styles can go back to competing for the WWE Championship. It looks like Riker and Elias are going to be with the program with Styles and Omos for a little while. If it leads to Elias and Riker having the tag team titles, that's completely fine. And then that way AJ Styles can go on to doing other things for the WWE Championship. I think that would be absolutely fine. I don't know if Riddle and Randy Orton will win the titles before they split. We'll have to see. We'll see. I don't know. I could see it going either way. If they win the titles and then Orton turns, that could be interesting too. Kind of like they did with the Shield when Rollins and Ambrose won the titles and then Ambrose turned. So we'll have to see what happens with that. If Eva Marie can come back as an absolutely kick-ass wrestler, it would be the greatest troll job she could ever do. Because nobody thinks that Eva Marie has any talent, but if she's been working her ass off and actually can go in the ring, that will be the most trollish thing she could ever do, and I would be all in for seeing the internet explode when that does happen. That's going to be great. And then finally, a good tag match to close the show, but Shayna Baszler deserves so much better than a match with Reginald. She needs to get away from Nia Jax, she needs to get away from these tag team titles, and go compete for the Raw Women's Championship. I think she's going to be having a program with Alexa Bliss, and that's fine. I'm okay with Alexa Bliss and Shayna Baszler going forward because they can do their thing and get the far as hell away from Nia Jax as possible. And that's what I'd love to see. And those are the thoughts of Dericho this week. My final thought is I'm sorry I can't be there in person. Sometimes when you're the director of operations, you got to go out there making moves, making things happen to support the podcast, That Hoots. But I will be back live and in living color in the future.
This has been the Thoughts of Dericho. You're smarter now, man.